Welcome again to the Templar Report. I'm Jim Dowson, guest reporter. And today I would like to wish every single American patriot a very, very happy Thanksgiving. And God bless America. And I mean that because I really think God did bless America. And I was saying to a colleague the other day, actually, we're talking about Thanksgiving and what it means and the religious context involved in it. And I actually said that America, in its day, was probably the nearest thing man has ever got to heaven on earth. What a marvellous and wonderful place America was up until very recent times. Sadly, it's all been ruined. And it's easy to blame this group or this group for blaming it. You know, it's the same old story. We went through it in Europe, and the Romans went through it before us, and the Greeks and the Egyptians and everybody else. It's caused by corrupt capitalism. Now, let me just state here, I am not a red or a lefty. I am a bit of a capitalist, but in the true sense of the word where you make money not for you to line your own pockets or stuff a bank full. You make money to help your fellow man and your environment. And if you don't do that, you become what we see now as capitalism, greedy, and you keep bringing in cheap labour to do the jobs that you don't want to do. Or because you're not breeding anymore, because you're too interested in yourself, you don't want to have kids. No kids means no workforce. So you have to bring all these immigrants in to do the jobs. And eventually, what happened with Rome, and what's happened with Germany, France, Belgium, blah, 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 every country in Europe, your population collapses, the immigrants rise up, and you lose your country. So, that's what happens. But anyway, I want to talk about Thanksgiving and what it means and the implications of it. I just read headlines in the Huffington Post, for example. And this is what they said. Can you believe this? Happy National Genocide, in brackets, Thanksgiving Day. Happy Genocide Day. Can you imagine the cheek of these people? Bloody Huffington Post. You know, with friends like this, America does not need enemies. Oh, and the other great font of knowledge, BuzzFeed. Making a place at the table for grief at Thanksgiving. Do you know something, folks? I do Thanksgiving. Most years I have a big turkey dinner on Thanksgiving. And I remember it because Thanksgiving also involves me. I'm a Brit, and it was our people who went there, and it was our people who settled that area and pushed forward, and it's marvellous. And I have Thanksgiving, and I give thanks to God that America was established. But this kind of behaviour from people like Huffington Post, Happy National Genocide Day. Really? They seem to forget real genocides like Joseph Stalin perpetrated against his people. No mention of that because they think he's wonderful. Or the genocides that were attempted by people like Che Guevara. And it's very interesting, they're always going on with Che Guevara. Che Guevara was a rabid homophobe and racist. He absolutely despised blacks and gays. But all these lefties who probably sit in Huffington Post office and the BuzzFeed's office will be sitting with their Che Guevara t-shirts on and it'll be in their bedroom because most of them live with their mum, as we know. But even, look at the students at the University of Oregon are holding an event this week aimed at decolonising Thanksgiving. And there's lots of these groups attacking America. You know, here's a message that I've got, very simple for the people like this in America. If you don't like America, there is not a wall around America yet. You can still get out. It's easy to get out. Go to the airport, jump in a plane, go somewhere else. Oh, where are you going to go? What other country is safe and secure and democratic and nice to live in and you don't get murdered in your bed or there's not corruption everywhere, stealing everything you've got? Narrows the field a wee bit. America is great, and it should stay great, and it will be even greater if these kind of people leave. And people, do you remember, who was all the people who threatened to leave America if Trump won? Do you remember some of them? Rosie O'Donnell, yep. Who else was there? Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, there was more. There was hundreds of them, all threatening to leave America if Trump won. Well, Trump won, why are you still there? I personally, Jim Dowson, will give Whoopi Goldberg and any of these other celebrities and stars, I personally will pay for your fare to leave America. But as long as you don't come to Britain, because we've got enough nutcases and left-wing snowflakes without importing the likes of you. But I'll help you. I will pay for your moving to whatever country you want to go to, apart from Britain. Have we got a deal? Let me know if Rosie McDonald gets back to us. Let us know if her email comes in.
If any Republican gets nominated, I'm going to move to Canada with my entire family.
Get out! Okay, but what is this? I mean, in Europe we have harvest festivals and things like this. You know, we've had them for years. I mean, at one time, The Church of England had 50 harvest festivals. You know, and it's my my favourite time of the year, the harvest festivals. Wonderful. The church is all decked out in the bountiful gifts that the Lord has gave us and kept us going another year. And we should remember these things. Obviously, it's got old pagan connotations, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with bringing some things from your ancestors into the modern context, into the Christian environment. There's nothing wrong with that. And the harvest festival really is that. We're celebrating the fertility of the land and God who has blessed us with his bounty. There's nothing wrong with that. And we do it in the context of being Christian, so it's great. But people keep going on about how the Americans committed genocide and all these horrible things. Now, there's no doubt, like, horrible things happen. They happen everywhere. But let's remember, let's get real here. When the English first arrived, the Indians were still living in the Stone Age. Oh, that's racist. He's racist. Get him locked up. Facts cannot be racist. The North American Indians were in the Stone Age. They had not mastered mythology yet. They had not mastered forging or any of the processes that go along with metal production. So they were in the Stone Age. Their tools and implements were Stone Age. Their war weapons were stones. So, you know, they were in the Stone Age. It's not racist, it's a fact. Don't moan at me about facts. So they're in the Stone Age and they hadn't even developed the wheel. Incredible as it seems, that's a fact. And they had no proper written language. They had shapes and depictions, but no written language. And they certainly were not the pipe-smoking, peace-loving hippie types that most people nowadays choose to imagine. The noble savage. You know, when the Europeans arrived there, 40% of Indians had either died violently. 40% of the Indians before settlement by Europeans would either die in violent conflicts or be enslaved. Slavery was absolutely rampant amongst the Indian community, as were genocidal wars, intertribal wars. They were absolutely commonplace. We didn't cause them. The white man going there did not spark any of this. This was rampant long before we went there. And we walked into almost an apocalyptic thing. Not this land of milk and honey and everybody was peaceful and running through the blades of grass. Absolute nonsense. Hollywood fiction. And there's some writing here from colonists. They saw the Indians as initially white people with just darker skin because of where they lived. And the English colony did not build any fortifications in the early days. They had a peaceful intention to trade freely with Indians. But only 10 days after the Pilgrims arrived at Jamestown, the colonists were almost wiped out by Indian attacks and only survived because they had a cannon. This is the reality. Powhatan, who was the father of Pocahontas, sued for peace with English colonists. And when the English colonists, he wanted peace because the English started fighting back, and, you know, it became a bit rough for everybody, so he wanted peace. And for a long time, they did, and they worked side by side, and there was no problem. But again, he died, his brother took control, and he decided to attack the colonists, and twice almost killed a third of the colonists there at the time. So it's not painting a rosy picture here. This was a real life or death struggle that your ancestors, my ancestors, had to go through. So it gets me very annoyed to read these headlines that, you know, our people committed a genocide. The first Thanksgiving took place in 1621, only a few years after Pocahontas died, after another group of English colonists sailed in the Mayflower and settled modern-day Massachusetts. By all accounts, relations with Indians were hostile. The settlers couldn't find land to settle, and many died of starvation. They called this the starving times for the colonists, the early colonists. And they had Indian raids to deal with. So not only were you starving, but you were fighting off attacks. One settler said of the Indians, they were confronted with savage barbarians who were readier to fill our sides with arrows. So it must have been a really terrifying experience to be one of these early settlers. Can you imagine it? Totally new land, no food, under attack, and you've got your little children and your babies with you. It must have been really terrifying, but it was still better living in England under a despotic king. But they did strike up alliances with Indian tribes, and there was certain working arrangements with ones who were wanting to live in peace and harmony, and it's the same in all things in human endeavour. And It was mutually beneficial to strike up good relationships. And this is the origins of the first Thanksgiving celebrations. And great to see the people had made it through that year. In 1621, the colonists were successful in their harvest and had a bounty of corn. The colony governor, William Bradford, invited the Native American allies to a celebratory feast, now called the First Thanksgiving. And that lasted 3 days. Boy, that must have been some party, eh? I don't know if the Puritans drank too much, but 3 days, it's a long time. And that's what they did. And after that, the Europeans and the Indians lived happily ever after. No, they didn't. We know they didn't. And there was all sorts of problems. It's a very complicated issue, the settlement of America. And it's far too complicated for people like Huffington Post and BuzzFeed just to throw the words genocide about. It's unfair, it's uncalled for. So again, I would like to wish the good people of America happy Thanksgiving. God bless you, and God bless America. I'll see you the next time round. Thank you. Okay, folks, you've seen the film. You know the score these days. Truth is being suppressed. You're not allowed to talk about certain things. Nobody wants to discuss these things. I do discuss them. And I would ask you to share this video, to put it about your friends, and make sure voices like ours are heard. Our opinions are important, and we should not be treated as second-class citizens. Neither should our love of our country or faith or anything else. So share the video, get it out there, and let's kick the snowflakes once and now and again and get the truth out there and let people know there's still resistance. Thank you very much.
The threat is real, and we are on the front line. In a world of misinformation and attacks from the left and mainstream media, censorship, deplatforming, it is time to call out the fake news and bring you the truth. We are the Knights Templar. Visit our website and join today. We are the Resistance. Deus Vult.